Good evening, Lisa.
Good evening.
You fancy doing a video or two? Nothing so tasty as a fresh video, but it's hot for you onions.
Okay.
That was my Sam CD impression.
Right, okay. It's good afternoon anyway.
Alright, show them what we're doing.
We are doing this. This is the very old version of
Spearhead from Space.
Spearhead from
Did you say it's
Space.
signed by somebody?
Nicholas Courtney.
Oh, when did you get it
I have
singed by
no
Nicholas
idea when it
Courtney?
came out originally, whenever that was.
Alright, okay. Do Lisa. Nicholas Courtney. That's nice.
Yes.
I didn't even know we had that. But, well then, Spearhead from Space.
Spearhead from Space. The debut of Doctor Number 3.
Now, I'm going to ask you, do you think overall this is a bigger change in the show than simply changing the Doctor at the start of Power of the Daleks?
What, going into colour or going
the
on
whole
to Earth?
the whole episode is that I think that episode is more different from the previous episode than Power of the Daleks is. Is
Probably, because Power of the Dogs is a bit of a continuation of what went before.
Yeah.
Because it's black and white. It's the same sort of
same companions, and all that. There's no major production change
this is
apart
a new
from the
production
Doctor.
crew. Yeah.
So you've got a new title sequence, a slightly new.
A slightly new.
A slightly new theme arrangement.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's still
Is that a
recognisably
proper
the
word?
same.
Slightly new.
I don't know. You're filming on 16mm film
Which was an accident.
in colour, which was not intended,
No.
but the colour bit was.
Yes.
You've got Liz Shaw, and the only real hangover is Unit and the Brigadier. So, I mean, we must remember people watching at home. We shouldn't sort of overplay the colour card.
No, because a lot of people would have been watching in black and
A lot of people
white.
would still seen it in black and white. But I think it's also significant we're at the start of a new decade as well. And I remember at the end of the 70s being excited as a kid for a new decade for the 80s.
Yeah.
It's weird that it seemed to be a significant thing. So I
Yes.
just wonder whether kids around the 60s felt the same about the 70s.
Maybe,
And I don't know.
Don't know.
And having a new Doctor in the first week of that
Yeah.
1970, maybe it's tied up. But it's remarkable how little John Pertwee actually gets to do in this episode, isn't it? The Doctor is dialed down so low.
It's mostly just laying in the bed and asking for his shoes.
Yeah, Thewth.
Shoes.
His hair's dark in this, isn't it? Yeah.
Darker,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
It's not black, but it's quite a dark grey.
Yeah.
Because the longer he's the Doctor, I mean, by the time we get to Planet of the Spiders, it's white.
Yeah.
Um,
But for the third Doctor, people think that he's a dominant personality.
and he will go on to
And
be.
he will be
so,
going on to be.
But not in his first
But
episode.
in his first episode, it's hardly in it, is it? Which is weird, because now, of course, if you are launching a new Doctor, the focus is on the Doctor, isn't it?
Yeah. Can I just put out David Tennant spends half of his episode asleep?
That's true. Yeah. So
And that's the
a
first,
deliberate choice,
yes,
I
and
suppose.
that is the first occurrence in New Who of changing from an old Doctor to a new Doctor. So that is the equivalent in 21st century Doctor Who of Hartnell to Troughton.
Good point, actually. Yeah, I'd not
So-
thought about that. Yeah.
You know, because in terms of 21st century Doctor Who, David Tennant is Tom Baker, isn't he?
Yeah.
In terms of the popularity.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, because of course, and tying in with the opening shot of Rose, you get the zoom
Into the Earth.
onto the Earth. It's not quite the same, obviously, but because I mean, the Brigadier says when he's talking to Liz about since Unit was formed, there have been 2 attempts to invade this planet, and technically, we've only seen one of them on the telly.
Yes.
Which would be the invasion. The Web of Fear, of course, being before Unit
Yes.
was filmed. So, is there a missing story?
Yeah.
That we've never seen that didn't involve the Doctor or something like that.
No, he said the Doctor's helped him out on 2 occasions, unless he's talking about Web of Fear.
I think but again, you see, I think everybody's sort of slightly forgotten.
Yeah.
But
Unit wasn't.
Yeah.
Unit,
So,
yes.
and again, as you say, it's a new production team, but Derek Sherwin soon disappears because in a couple of weeks' time it will say Barry Letts at the end.
It will.
So we're in one of those slightly weird periods of transition where one team sets it up.
Yeah, and then
the
leaves it to the
next
other
team,
team.
which is what happens again with Robot, of course. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
You've got some innovation like the Two Hearts thing. But I have to ask you, do you think the change from Hartnell to Troughton is the same process as Troughton to Pertwee, and I'm not sure it is.
I don't know.
Because it's forced upon the Doctor.
Forced upon the Doctor.
It's not a natural thing.
No, the Time Lords make him change.
Yeah. So it said in the production notes, for instance, when a Time Lord regenerates, there is a period, of sort of, he's a bit unstable.
Yes.
And Troughton in Power of the Daleks has that for all of like 3 minutes.
Yeah, and then he sort of settles
and then
down
he's
a little
fine.
bit.
Pertwee spends the whole first episode.
Yeah.
But is that a result of the fact that the Time Lords have done it?
Yeah.
So if it would happen again, would he be fine after 5 minutes? And that's not what necessarily happens in Robot. So it's this thing we were sort of talking sort of last night on Twitter about how continuity works from production team to production team, and it's what they vaguely remember.
Yeah.
And there isn't a Bible. There's no fans going, "Oh, that's wrong." That's not consistent.
Well, not yet, anyway.
Not yet. So I like the vagueness about it still. It's not nailed down at all. You've got... I mean, it's nice that you've got some faces that will become more familiar in the Pertwee era. You've got Prentice Hancock and you've got Telford Thomas. But I hadn't really spotted Ellis Jones, really. I'd never really clocked who Ellis Jones was.
I did, yeah.
Because, of course, he's Hal Addin from Pardon My Genie. And I wish he'd come back in it. But, where we don't have the Doctor, obviously these characters have to come in to support the story, don't they?
Yeah.
And even Hugh Burden doesn't say a thing, say a word. He gets to do some wonderful eye acting, doesn't he?
Yes. And I think also it's quite noticeable that his is the first credit after the regulars.
Yeah.
So you get
he's
the Doctor's
guest star.
credit.
Yeah.
You get the Brig and Liz.
Yeah.
And then it's Hugh Burden's because he's probably quite a well-known actor at that point.
But it's this thing where Doctor Who fans can be a bit blinkered sometimes, and I fully admit that when I watched Spearhead from Space for the first time, and probably even for the 5th time, I had no idea who Hugh Burden was.
Yeah.
Because I'd never seen The Mind of Mr. J.G. Reader.
And we urge you to, if you haven't.
And The Mind of Mr. J.G. Reader, which is available on DVD from Network, is absolutely fantastic. But Hugh Burden is so different.
He is.
In this to what he is in that.
Yeah. But it shows obviously what a good actor he is.
And he's brilliant. And so as a choice of, the villain that essentially Pertwee has to face up to, he's a very, very sound choice.
Yeah, he's very good because in Spearhead, obviously, he's very cold and logical.
Yeah.
Because he's cold, and then you get John Woodnut, who's the more emotional character.
But it's just the fact that this episode is so much more a team effort on behalf of the actors. It's not the Doctor's show this week.
No.
It's Doctor Who the series rather than Doctor Who the star, isn't it?
Well, people always say that you would, when in John Pertwee's era, you would go into the show and do a part, and it was a big team effort.
Yeah.
As much as John Pertwee sometimes has this reputation of being, look at me, I'm the star, which he could do on occasions.
He wanted everybody to be good.
He wanted everybody to be good, because obviously if they're good, that makes him good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the only time I think you get that is, look at me, I'm the star, is in, if you ever see any of the studio footage for Claus Laxos, where he gets cross because there's a camera dancing
around in my eyeline.
In my eyeline, yes.
But he's quite apologetic that he's sort of put off by it.
He's not he's not being crazy like that. Because there's that wonderful shot in that, we're going completely off subject now, where Nick Courtney says, "Oh, that line."
It's just Nick Courtney forgetting his lines, isn't it?
Right, okay.
But I mean, what about Liz? I mean, is Liz comes in and she doesn't know UNIT, so she's in part
she's the audience.
She's the audience in the same way that Ben and Polly are being.
She's your
So for a new viewer, that's the thing. You wouldn't know the Brigadier.
No.
So the Brig explains to Liz. So I guess you're right that Liz takes the part of the audience in this one.
And I think she's not had much to do in this, but I think she's quite a strong character.
Yeah.
I mean, all this, there's been so much written over the years about you don't get strong female companions till you get to Leela, and I would dispute that, because I don't think, there's one or two occasions where Liz is where she screams, but then if you've got a weird reptilian thing coming towards
scratching your face
you
off.
would scream.
Yeah.
You would, and she doesn't really scream when she jumps because she thinks she might have moves.
Yeah.
But she's really strong. She's there trying to
Her
rewire
list
the
of
thing.
qualifications, frankly, are astonishing.
Yeah, and she's better than the Doctor in some ways.
And frankly, a little unbelievable because they're so good.
Yeah.
I've never met anybody in science who has that range of qualifications. But yeah, it's interesting that she's the one that they go to when the Doctor is not available. So it's almost as though who's the best person on Earth we can get, and it seems to be her.
Yeah.
Excuse me. One thing we should say about is the unit officer at the start. She's just called unit officer.
Oh yes, she doesn't get a name now.
But the fact that she's in charge of Ellis.
Yeah,
Ellis Jones,
there's no even...
It's never even commented on.
there's no real thought about it. Actually,
Yeah.
I'd never really thought about that.
Yeah, because it's so matter of fact.
It's just thrown away almost, isn't it?
It's not, here's a woman officer.
Yeah.
She just comes in, he says ma'am, and they get on with it.
Yeah.
So that I think is something that people overlook. And I said in the same way to you, and again off the subject a bit, in the same way that, is it Nancy in The Green Death?
Yes.
Pertwee calmly hands over the biochemistry to her.
Oh yeah, well you do it then.
And doesn't even bother to explain to her because he assumes she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, how you really do it. You don't even comment on it, because if they accept it, you accept it. If you start flagging it up too much, how remarkable somebody is, it's almost sort of undermining it from the start.
Saying that, that's because a lot of people, and I am guilty of this, think of the Pertwee era as being a bit sort of sexist.
Yeah.
But it's not. He treats everybody the same.
Yeah.
Everybody that's not a Time Lord, he treats as a little bit inferior to him.
Yeah, it's not because you're female, it's because you're a human.
Because you're a human, yeah. In the same way that Christopher Eccleston's Doctor does.
Yeah.
Calls them all human stupid apes.
But
not because it's Mickey or Rose, it's because you're a human being and you do stupid things.
But if on the other hand you prove you can keep up with him, with his mind,
he's quite happy.
Then he's quite happy to let you get on with it. Yeah. So that's
and
interesting.
He does protect Joe. He's quite a fatherly figure, and but that's because he really likes her and he wants her to grow. I think.
Yeah. Oh, we should say an end title sequence as well.
Yes.
On this for the first time, because I know they've sort of played around with the title sequence in sort of late Troughton, because you've got like the War Games montage, with the flashing things, or the Seeds of Death.
The flashing things.
The
gunshots,
and the like the Seeds of Death, sort of one, and things like that.
And they'll do it more in this season particularly.
Season 7, they still play around with it. You've got the ambassadors.
Because I love the ambassadors
of death.
And the Inferno one with the explosion.
So again, the format is still not quite nailed down.
No. But that's, I think, because with season 7, because Barry Letts doesn't come in until...
I mean, he's credited on the Silurians,
that he doesn't get a chance to settle it down.
But really, it's a real transition period this season,
I think season 7 is my favourite Pertwee.
I think it probably is for me as well.
Because there's so many strong stories. Every story in season 7 is pretty strong. And the weakest of the stories in season 7 is in Ambassadors of Death, and that's still pretty good.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because we're also talking about a shorter season as well. That you've had a bit more time to plan everything. I think. I mean, yes, they're still running on the spot. Of course they are, and they will be for some time yet. But cutting it down to 25 episodes just allows a bit of breathing space, I think.
For writers and directors and the stars.
And so there's just been a little bit more time to think about how you launch this new Doctor, I think. And that will pay off over the next few stories as well, I think. So there you go. I think that's all we have to say, isn't it?
Yes. And obviously the Blu-ray is now out of this, and it looks fantastic. You can see what the curtains look like.
We got excited at the curtains.
When we watched it on Blu-ray for the first time, they've got a pattern on them, because you can't see it in these versions.
The curtains and the foliage in the woods.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Okay, well there you go. That's Spearhead From Space, episode 1. not O-N-E.
Okay.
So even that's different
Yes.
to last time.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.